Hello. So we're taking a look at Wonderworks, science fiction and fantasy art by Michael Whelan. I love Michael Whelan's works. I grew up reading about dragons and all of these kinds of things, so this is, wholly in my world of things I adore. So, let's take a look. It's what I'll call, compared with, let me look at that, the cutest thing ever created. A lot of other artists in this realm would do very stark black and white graphic kinds of images. And, Michael was certainly capable of that sort of thing. But he also was great at doing very immersive fantasy feeling things. They're not really cartoony. I mean, that's more like a illustrative painting, we'll say, that you might see if you took this part out, that you might see in a museum of, a beautiful forest scene. And then he adds in the fantastical. It makes it wholly a part of what this scene is. So where some other things, other artists might make a scene that feels like a cartoon, his feel very much like a painting of real life, and it just happens to have some creatures in it that we haven't seen before in our Earth world, which I find very neat. Now we got dragons and the ship landing in the water, and they're carrying off the guy. I have to comment, I really don't like it when they do this. Just make the image smaller or turn it sideways or something, but we've lost a chunk of the image into the fold, which is not good for the art. So please, people who are publishing books, there's no need to do that. Just turn it sideways and give us the full image on there. It'll be a tiny bit smaller, but we'll actually be able to see all of it. But this is neat with the way that the eyes glow and all the details on the shirt. I mean, he is just so good with shading and making this feel like an actual scene that he has painted. This one is a little more, we'll say cartoony, a little more abstracted from reality, but still clear enough that you get a sense of what the situation is. You got him reaching up and the foot on the skull of it. This one is much more cartoony, but he has different styles for different purposes. The robot head holding the clock. The faces of all the different animals and the giant killer ants. Sword and sorcery, yes. I love sword and sorcery. Stormbringer. The dragon. I mean, just look at the wings on that. That is just so nicely done. It all looks like it would be an actual creature. The enchantress. Big strong male, little weak female, clinging for help. This is the way the pictures were. Fighting off a Lich King. Doesn't say if it's a lich, but it looks like a lich. But just the detail in there is so fine. And the posing and everything. He is just such a talented artist. Jeez Louise. The detail on the face. I mean, clearly this is a fictional thing. It's not like he had an actual model sitting for him, but even so, the way the eye sits into the face, he's just very good at those details. The white wolf. The person stabbing the enemy. The two against the mountains. There's just all these little details in here that it's got that give it a sense that it's a carved wood ship with like a metal circle in the mouth. He's just so talented. It doesn't say what... Oh, that one's acrylics. All right, so he did that on acrylics. Imagine sitting there with acrylics, painting a scene like that. And again, it's not like you can have a model. Oh, well, I mean, you could have a model of that guy, but you can't have a model of the ship and so on. And he was still able to create it. Anne McCaffrey. Dragons. I mean, these are the books I grew up with, so I love them. And just the detail and the veining on the wings, just so pretty. Dragon flight. The curve of the body and this sense of the swoop of the wings and the other ones flying in after. Alex floating in the sky above the tentacles. So yes, a great art book to be able to get to see a variety of the images in a nice full-size, well-printed, so that you can study them or practice from them or however you want to use them. A little more scary. Human creatures, skulls. I like the way that the chair is being eaten away and pieces are just suspended in space where the rest of it has eaten away. That's pretty neat. And when you look at this one, you can see that originally was a simpler chair, which doesn't have the same power. This eating away aspect of it gives it much more power for me. The skull, the eye and the hand. This is intriguing because usually you would have the male being up and strong and then the woman sort of cowering under the cover of the male. So I like that it's the reverse of it. Woman on a white horse charging in. A little bit of nudity. Certainly not as much as many other authors of this time period. So, a very talented artist, and again, wonderfully well versed in doing what we'll call a traditional landscape scene and then just putting in some cute little aspects. But really, did they need to stick that down into the corner so that you could barely see it? I don't think so. And then we get into some aliens. They're so cute, just making them a part of the family. Hanging around listening to a music player. Hanging out with an explorer. Keeping an eye on people walking through. Defending them from a horned monster. And being sad. So, very talented with emotions, expressions. Let me know if you have any questions.